You know that watch on your wrist? Or the wheels on your car? What about the very laws that shape our world? You might think they're modern inventions, right? Well, they're not. They're actually echoes, whispers, from a civilization so ancient it was literally buried under sand and totally forgotten for 5,000 years.
I mean, seriously, have you ever stopped to wonder about that? Why 60 minutes in an hour? Why not 100? And why a full 360 degrees in a circle? It feels totally random, doesn't it? But it's not. Not at all. It's a system, a very deliberate system. It's like a ghost of a forgotten math that we are all still using, every single day without even thinking about it. So where does the answer come from? It comes from a civilization called Sumer. And what's crazy is, until just a couple hundred years ago, nobody had even heard of them. The name Sumer was completely lost to history. But then, archaeologists started digging out in the deserts of what's now Iraq, and what they found, well, it changed everything. They uncovered what many now call the Mother Civilization. These were the people who basically taught humanity how to write, how to build cities, and yeah, how to measure time itself. All right, so let's rewind. Where did this all kick off? Our story begins in this incredibly hot, sun-scorched land nestled right between two massive rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. We're talking almost 9,000 years ago. In this incredibly fertile area, the Greeks later gave it the name Mesopotamia, this is where the first seeds of what we call civilization were planted. Okay, so before the Sumerians as we know them, there was another group of people here. Archaeologists call them the Ubaid culture. You could think of them as the pioneers. They were the ones who figured out how to dig the first irrigation canals to water their crops, and they built the very first villages. And one of those villages, a place called Eridu, well, it turned out to be pretty special. And we know it was special because the Sumerians' own historical records, which they literally etched into clay tablets, say this, and this is amazing. After the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Eridu. I mean, just think about that. To them, Eridu wasn't just a settlement, it was the first city on earth, a holy place, a gift from the gods. It was the starting line for all of civilization. So you have these early settlements, and then something just happens. It's like an explosion in slow motion. These little villages start growing into towns, and then one of those towns, it just keeps growing, turning into something the world had never, ever seen before. A real, honest-to-goodness city. We're talking about the city of Uruk. By 3500 BC, this place had a population of at least 25,000 people. Now I know what you're thinking, that's just a small town. But you have to put yourself back then, in the 4th millennium BC. This was a megacity. It was completely unimaginable. This was a total revolution in how human beings lived. And when you get that many people living together, it changes everything. This new city life created a whole new kind of society. For the very first time, you see people being organized into different social classes. And right at the top of that pyramid, a brand new, super powerful figure, the priest king. This guy was both the political boss and the city's direct connection to the gods. He held all the cards. So think about it. How on earth do you manage a city of 25,000 people? How do you track taxes, hand out grain, organize work crews? You can't just keep it all in your head. You need records. And that practical need, that problem, it led to one of the most important inventions in human history. And this wasn't just about, bookkeeping. It was a massive leap for the human mind. For the first time ever, our thoughts could be stored outside our brains. That meant complex government, long-term plans, the birth of bureaucracy itself. What they came up with was a system called Cuneiform. It was pretty clever, actually. They'd take a reed stylus, basically a sharpened stick, and press these little wedge-shaped marks into tablets of wet clay. And the best part? Once those clay tablets dried in the sun, they became rock hard, super durable. And because of that, we can still read their records today, thousands of years later. We can read their grocery lists, their laws, and even their epic stories. And believe it or not, writing was just the beginning. These guys were on a roll. The Sumerians gave us the wheel, the plow, the massive technological leap of mixing copper and tin to make bronze. And they also gave us a totally new way to count. We use a base 10 system, right? Well, they used a base 60 system. And that is exactly why, to this very day, we divide a circle into 360 degrees and an hour into 60 minutes. It's their system. The basic software of our world was literally being coded back in ancient Sumer. But you know how it goes. When cities get bigger and richer and more powerful, they also get more ambitious. And that beautiful land between the rivers, which had been this amazing cradle of innovation, well, it started to look more like a battlefield. A chessboard for kings who all wanted a bigger piece of the pie. For centuries, the story of Sumer was just one conflict after another.
You had these powerful city-states like Lagash and Umma constantly at each other's throats, fighting these brutal wars over good farmland and access to water. And of course, every king claimed that his city's god was on his side. It was just this endless cycle of intense local fighting.
But then, everything changed. Around 2334 BC, an outsider shows up and just completely flips the board over. His name was Sargon of Akkad. Now, he wasn't one of the old-school Sumerian priest kings, no. He was a stone-cold military genius. And he went and conquered those warring cities one by one, and he mashed them all together to create something totally new. And frankly, a little terrifying, the world's very first empire. Sargon didn't just win. He completely shattered the old way of doing things. He built a brand new capital city, Akkad. He kicked out all the local Sumerian rulers and put his own loyal buddies in charge as governors. And then he made his language, Akkadian, the official language of the whole empire. The ancient Sumerian language just got pushed further and further into the background. It was a whole new ballgame.
But if Sargon's empire teaches us anything, it's that power never lasts forever. No matter how great they are, even the mightiest civilizations eventually fall.
And the end for Sumer? Well, it didn't happen overnight. It came in waves. First, a massive climate shift hit, bringing terrible drought and famine that just wrecked the empire's foundations. Then, as they were weakened, a group of invaders called the Gutians swept down from the mountains and threw everything into chaos. Now there was this one last heroic comeback. They call it the Sumerian Renaissance. It was led by a king, Ur-Nammu, who even gave the world its very first written law code. But it just wasn't enough. The final nail in the coffin came in 2004 BC. Rivals from the east, the Elamites, attacked, completely sacked the capital city of Ur, and literally dragged the last Sumerian king away in chains.
And just like that, it was over. The Sumerian language, one of the oldest languages on the entire planet, stopped being spoken. It just vanished from daily life. Their incredible cities were left empty, abandoned, and the desert sands slowly buried them. For thousands of years, the world completely forgot Sumer ever existed. It was as if they were just erased.
But here's the crazy part. The Sumerian people were gone, but their ideas are basically immortal. They are like the invisible operating system that's still running in the background of our world today.
I mean, just think about it for a second. The way we tell time, 60 seconds, 60 minutes. The idea that laws should be written down. The basic blueprint for how to plan a city. The whole concept of an empire. Even the first great story ever written, the Epic of Gilgamesh. All of it. Every single one of those things comes directly from them. We are quite literally living with the ghosts of Sumer every single day.
You see, they weren't just another ancient culture on a long list. They were the architects. They designed the fundamental ideas that made everything that came after them possible. And that's why history gives them that one perfect title, the Cradle of Civilization.